guys, Element here, and we're back for a pre-E3 podcast. Darkovika couldn't make it. She has some other engagements to attend to. We'll welcome her back next week for the full E3 show, and we're going to have a roundtable where we discuss everything about E3. So I am here with Catch22, aka Fabled Mercenary, and we're going to do a little top 5 for the games and announcements that came out of E3 this week. What's up, dude?
How's it going? Good to be here. And man, like after watching E3 while working, I might add, gosh, this year is going to be ecstatic. Like this year and next year, I can't contain how much excitement I have going into like these, especially the holiday season with, of course, you know, my number one pick. We'll say that when we go over the top list, you know, but yeah, good to be here.
You like streamed it from work, or you just kind of had to like stumble on the announcements on like websites or videos?
I was streaming because, you know, YouTube was doing, you know, live at E3, so I would use my Sprint, you know, my work phone, and I basically had that playing. Yeah, I had it Bluetooth, you know, through the speakers, and I had that playing while I was, you know, doing the day-to-day duties that requires, you know, Sprint workers to do. So it was pretty cool. Like I was half paying attention to people, half just honestly zoning in on E3, because it's like, you know, it's one time of the year where I honestly just like geek the most.
Oh, well, okay. So I have to make this comment, and I want to know if you agree. This has probably the best E3 in recent years.
I have to agree with you,
because
already right there.
Yeah, because like this is the first time I watched like all, like, okay, not all, but both conferences, and the both from Microsoft and Sony, going into I have to put it on silent, but going into like the other conferences from Square to EA and Ubisoft, it's just like all of the announcements were like super good. Like my hype meter was going off like the entire days that I was watching the press conferences.
I have to agree with you on that one, definitely. Like I said before, it was like I did end up watching all of them, I think, except for Microsoft. That one escapes me. I think I missed it, and I hadn't gotten back to it yet. But I mean, from each and every day, you know, I tuned into each of the main conferences. I didn't get to see a lot of the, you know, the show floor. I know they had like the one-on-one interviews and all that. I missed a couple of those. Of course, I did catch Todd Howard's, but for the most part, like I said, yeah, I know the big thing coming out of Microsoft was their backwards compatibility. Yeah. But for me, I mean, I kept my 360, so that wasn't a huge thing. But, you know, I think it's a good step in the right direction after, like, you know, misadvertising, you could say, the Xbox One for so long. I think their whole rebranding in general, it's like, it's a good step in the right direction. Yeah, but yeah, I totally agree with you there. All the conferences had something that, you know, at least one person could, you know, or every person could, you know, get something out of. I went in watching Square Enix, and I think even Nintendo, I kind of was like, oh, okay, well, you know, it's good to see they're back on, you know, with the conference. I think it was last year or the year before. They didn't even do a conference. So it was kind of cool.
I just got their, like, Sunday show in the morning, and they kind
of... I know they did one this year. It was listed on the things there. It was before Sony, I want to say. It was before either Sony or before Square Enix, but... I know before they had stopped doing a conference at some point, so it's good to see them back on the floor as well. But I mean, for me, the hugest thing was Bethesda's first, you know, conference at E3. I think that's huge because, you know, when we think of company conferences, you go EA, Ubisoft, and like the juggernauts, and then to see Bethesda do the same thing, and not only that, but I mean, really, just it was like, what a way to kick off E3. You know, that was like that was an amazing way to kick off E3.
I was pretty excited to see Bethesda on the show floor finally, and it's not just because of that, you know, that one game that
you're right
we should not name or something like that. But they, like, you know, a lot of people forget that they are a publisher.
Yeah,
and they have other studios underneath their wing, so it was cool to see their other games as well. Because like I know a lot of people came in on Sunday thinking, oh, it was this game's press conference. No, it was Bethesda as a company, and it was really cool to watch.
Right. Yeah.
So thinking about all of that, okay. So who won E3? And there's two criteria I want you to judge on.
Okay.
So there's two awards. Who won E3 Best in Show and who won E3 Hype Factor?
Okay. If I have to say who won E3 Best in Show, I'm gonna have to go with Bethesda, because for a first outing, not only because obviously they were gonna bring Fallout 4, like we knew that, you know, so that's why I won't give them hype, because everyone was ready for that. We were just, it was anticipation. We just wanted to see, you know, finally what it's like to be in game for Fallout. That's all we want to see, and they brought that. And not only they brought it for over 30 minutes. You know, he didn't just give us we didn't get it like a brief trailer. We didn't just get like a couple of concept art. Like they gave us a really big chunk of what to expect. And then even as they did that, you know, they said that that's not all. You know, they were even saying that Todd Howard hasn't seen everything in the game. So I thought that was pretty huge in itself. So I think for Best of Show, I definitely give them that to them, because not only they brought out Fallout 4 plus their other games, and they really showcased those off as well. Because I'm not a big Doom player, but that trailer and the gameplay there for Doom was really great. Like they did a really good job with that. Not to mention, you know, yeah, it really did. Especially with all the kill moves they're adding in there. I thought that was really cool. As well as, of course, you know, I'm not an Apple person, but Fallout Shelter made me almost want to go out, trade my Sprint work phone for an Apple just to play that. But, you know, I was just like, gosh dang it, like that's almost. I was just like, I'm not that crazy. And then, you know, with the Pip-Boy edition for that as well, you know, who doesn't want a Pip-Boy? So that I give them Best in Show. When it comes to who won E3, you know, hype factor, all the way. Not to mention, obviously they brought the Division, which is something people, you know, kind of like, okay, we saw that a while ago. It'd be nice to actually play the game, and they haven't really said much about it. We knew Rainbow Six Siege was coming, but then out of nowhere they pull out what was it, For Honor and Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I think for me, I was just like, I don't play these types of games, but I'm buying all of them. You know, I'm getting all of them. You know, EA, I would say they were kind of a contender there, but I think for us, everyone, we were already expecting Battlefront. I think, you know, while we want to play a Battlefront, we feel like coming from EA, it's going to be Battlefield with lasers. So I think people are on reserve before the hype really fully reaches the potential it could be for Battlefront. Right. You know, for me, I'm fine with Battlefield with lasers, but
and they started rolling out that promo material like a couple of months ago, so everybody was kind of just rolling on that Battlefront. no pun intended, but for me, I guess, or do you have any honorable mentions for the E3 press conferences?
I guess it would definitely have to go to EA. They came out there and they were trying to change the direction. They're trying to, you know, I know they're saying they're trying to meet fans halfway, because, you know, there was the Mass Effect 3 controversy. There was just, you know, not hearing a lot of things from EA. There was the Battlefield 4 launch. I don't know how Hardline is looking for people. I know for me, while I always say the idea of Hardlines was a bad idea done well, but it wasn't enough to keep me invested. There's just not enough toys, you know, per se in Hardlines to really make you go, this is worth playing over and over again, because they still try to do it, you know, domestic cops and robbers. And it's like, after a moment or so, you're like, okay, bring me back my tanks and jets. That's what I want to do. You know, it's but I'd say honorable mention goes to EA because they brought Mass Effect 4. So, you know, it's just a trailer. Hey, that's enough for me to go, okay.
Oh, okay. I mean, for Best in Show, I would have to give it up to Microsoft, actually, because...
Really? Okay.
Well, okay, they brought a lot of exclusives to the table, and they all looked really good, but this year they brought out Oculus games, but when I saw Minecraft on HoloLens, that shit looked crazy. And I started to imagine the other applications that it could, you know, that you could put HoloLens to use with, like other games, and it could act as a second screen experience for main games too. So, for example, if you're playing a game like Ghost Recon, if you're playing a game like The Division, and you have a HoloLens, you can have your you can have your let's say your war table or whatever, where you plan things out, or your kind of minority report interface on a table to your side while you're playing it. And it just, like, they kind of blew my mind in terms of technologies and like kind of future where the future is headed.
Okay.
In terms of hype factor, I have to bring it back old school and ride the wave of nostalgia, because Sony wins the hype factor only because I'm excited for Fallout 4. I know it's going to be great.
Right.
And I'm going to play it. But The Last Guardian has been so long coming. And every year at E3 is like, oh, you think they're gonna mention The Last Guardian? Probably not. But this year they were just like, oh yeah, here's The Last Guardian, and then they brought it out and they started playing it. Number two, for any of you guys as JRPG fans, Final Fantasy VII Remake. That shit blew my mind. Like, I don't know if you're a fan of the Final Fantasy series, but if not, you know, if any of you guys aren't a fan of the series, I understand. But if you are, I share in your glee and in your joy. But man, how did they keep that a secret? For like this day and age where like leaks are a mainstay in news.
Right.
How do you keep that a secret? That like, I was watching a couple of like reaction videos for the remake announcement, and everybody had the same reaction. They were like, "No way. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me." And then they were like, "This is just a movie. This is just a movie." And then they said remake. Like, oh my gosh, we all just lost our shit. And like, I had to give props to Microsoft, but like hype factor wise, I was like emotional. I was thinking of like all of my memories playing Final Fantasy VII, and that just brought it home for me. And that's also my honorable mention for my top 5. So let's just get that out of the way. Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming. We're going to get to see all the summons and materia back. It's going to be crazy. But for the conferences, my honorable mention would be Bethesda, because it was their first time around and they did a great job.
Yeah, they did.
All right, so let's go on to our top 5 of E3, our top 5 games and announcements. And we'll start with Catch-22.
All right. So I'm going to pull up my top 5, make sure I say it right. Okay, so I'm going to start from the 5th, 5th being the least of the 5, of course, 1 being the top. So number 5 for me, out of top announcements, I wouldn't say it's more of an announcement because it's been announced beforehand and we knew it was coming. But for me, when it comes to nostalgia, one thing that I like really well, those games that had a great experience that you can kind of, you can just sit and play, and then that's it. You get your scratch done, and you kind of go off, and you come back to it later on. And that goes to Battlefront. Like, again, I know like a lot of people that I've talked to are on the fence about it when it comes to DICE making and EA publishing it, because we know the reputation and we know what they tend to do to those big titles. But for me, I go, if it's as good as Battlefield 3, which some say is not really that great, but if you put Battlefront skin on Battlefield 3, I will play it, because I played Battlefield 3, and I will be content, entertained, and okay. Will I buy a premium? I don't know, probably, but as far as just shooting them and playing Star Wars, it looked beautiful. Yeah. The gameplay looked beautiful. That's what I'm going off of. They've already told you, hey, it's not going to be this ultra campaign, but you do have that mode where you can play by yourself, or split screen, which is big these days because split screen normally isn't done anymore. So that's I think that's huge right there in itself. And that's really like, that's, going back to like the original, Battlefront 1 and 2, like you can do the split screen and stuff. And then one thing I'm glad they brought in was when you're in first person, seeing inside the spaceships. That, I don't know, playing on the original Xbox Battlefront 1 and getting inside a spaceship. Because I don't think most people played, I think the default was third person. Well, I was that kid who went to the settings and was like, oh, look, there's a first-person view. I would play in first person, and jump in the ships. I'm like, oh my God, you can see inside the freaking spaceship. Mm-hmm. Lost my mind, right? So I'm glad they brought that back. Number 4, like I said, I didn't even know this game was a thing, but when they were showing the trailer for it and the gameplay, I slowly was losing my mind, and then when the beat dropped, because they were playing, Imagine Dragons' Friction song, when the beat dropped, lost my damn mind. Like I didn't know how to contain myself. I think I almost dropped my phone while I was working at Sprint. Somebody looked at me. I was just like, look, don't judge me, okay? Like, you don't understand. You know what I mean? It's like, does not compute. So number 4 goes to Ghost Recon Wildlands, because first of all, 4 people, squad based, awesome sauce, open world, even better. Take missions how you want to. First of all, they had me sold when the sniper was like kilometers away, but still interacting with his squad, taking over. Because in Battlefield, that's what I do. I'm the guy sniping from the boat, whoever gets pissed off because he seemingly isn't doing anything yet goes top of the team. Like, I like the fact that I can play that sniper, get a mission done without even being remotely close to getting shot at. It's cool to have that option as well as being up close. So that's my number 4. Number 3.
Before we get to number 3, so did you play the old Ghost Recons, like Desert Siege, Island Thunder?
I did not play the old Ghost Recons. I was a player of Rainbow Six, Vegas, and then Rainbow Six 1 and 2 there. So yeah, I played those, and I played was it Siphon Filter? Was that the one? I know I played some Splinter Cell. That's what. Why did I say Siphon Filter? Wow. God, I haven't heard that name in forever. No, it was Splinter Cell. I played Splinter Cell, and Rainbow Six, and that. So
I'll add Ghost Recon to my honorable mentions because I'm riding the wave of nostalgia. Like I said, I played that way back in the day when I went to my first IT school for graphic design. That was like 8 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. And I played with a whole bunch of my classmates then. Like we had like LAN parties in our classroom.
Right.
Just like Desert Siege and Island Thunder, we would have like we were actually like very competitive and competing on like those ladders. And that was the thing back in the day. So, hats off to Ghost Recon for coming back and showing good.
Yeah, I think for me, it kind of it made me like feel like I was playing when I was watching the trailer. It was like, because I love the Mercenary games, Playground Destruction and World in Flames, and I would wish someone would pick up where those games left off. I mean, just cause might have to be my switch to that, because I guess apparently they're almost about one the same in that category, but. Ghost Recon brought that tactical, approach to it. And like I said, I never played one, so I don't know if that's the gameplay for those games originally, but it looked different to me, and I felt like, that's something I want to be a part of. I don't want to miss that opportunity. I don't want to miss that kind of experience.
Yeah.
So that's why number 4.
That was the first game that like I actually ever jumped onto Ventrilo and voiceover, and we were talking like we were in the military and stuff. We were all like sitting across from each other in the classrooms. We were like, "Yeah, you got eyes on? Yeah, I got eyes on. We got a terrorist on the right side. We're gonna go flank him. All right, sniper, you got eyes on the person on the tower? Yeah, let's go do it. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go!"
And nothing wrong with being immersed, though. That's what games are supposed to do. So
yeah, sure.
I totally understand. So like that's what I think that's gonna bring a lot of it back. More serious play as opposed to watching someone teabag a chair, because people do that. I don't know.
A chair.
I've seen it in Battlefield, and I was just like, "What do you?" I'm not gonna ask, But moving to number 3, the personal favorite series of mine, kind of one of those things that pushed me into designing, and wanting to write stories, was when Square Enix came out with Mankind Divided. When they showed that, that was a really the game's already announced, so and they already did a game former spread on it, which I read about 3 or 4 times now. Looked at the pictures, studied what was going on, even read up on some of the design, aspects of Human Revolution.
Oh, this is Deus Ex, okay.
Yeah, Deus Ex, Mankind Divided. There you go. That's number 3. So when they announced that, that's why number 3. It was already going to be something I wanted to see. And it was kind of already going to be on my top 5. That's kind of one of the E3 moments I was waiting for. So when they brought it out, I was like, awesome. They showed some of the gameplay and the gunplay, and I was just like, fantastic. It kind of it didn't surprise me because I thoroughly enjoyed him in Revolution. So it was like that was gonna be my top anyway. It was just like, of course, you know, it's like, why would you not show that? You've already, you know, we've already seen so much of it. I want to see more. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Collector's edition, perhaps if they have one. You know, I can always dig an Adam Jensen statue because Jensen's awesome. So, hey, you know. Number 2, going back to Ubisoft, The Division. I've been waiting for this game for so long, and the trailer they showed, what got me to lose my mind for like the 100th time and during that conference was, you know, I really key on to what developers say when they're talking about their game, because it's really important to understand the goals they're setting for the games they release, because you can judge a game based on the wrong criteria and say it sucks, but that's not what they're trying to accomplish, so you can't really judge them on goals that they didn't set out to do. One thing that they focused on with that trailer was the Dark Zone, and I remember, I forget what his name is, but he comes out and he's like, we wanted to create a place that causes paranoia and a place where you can trust no one. So you watch the trailer, you watch the play, you get to the end, and the guy, the third man in the squad, pretty much backstabs the entire squad. You know, he kills them and just runs off. And for me, watching with my roommate, who we were like, you know, we're gonna get these Tom Clancy games, we're gonna be a squad and all this stuff. He looked at me and he knows that I like to play, you know, a really sly character sometimes. He's just like, we're not playing that together because I can't trust you. And I was like, that instantly was just like, yes, they have succeeded in making that zone that has paranoia and that you don't trust anyone factor in there. So I thought that was like right on the money. My jaw dropped when he literally left the squad, shot her, then executed, you know, his partner. I was just like, that guy just, you know, he just made like a bandit. But like, seriously, like that
started
awesome.
From the first team, right? Because like they kind of encountered a different team, and then they decided to collaborate, and then at the very end they turned their backs on that team, and then the person on their team turned their back on them, and so it was kind of just like this whole rigmarole of karma, just, you know, mashed together.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that I don't know if many people were watching it, because they were talking about how, you know, they showed it, how there are going to be other players interacting with the world as you do. But one of the things that they did that was it was really quick, but I caught the camera angles when they're getting ready for extraction, and the flare fires up in the air, and they're like, all right, everyone take defense, you know, get in a position and let's wait. And so that's when they start moving over to let's betray these guys before we end. But that moment when the flare goes in the air, the camera drops back really far to just show you how, you know, visible it is from a distance. And I think right there was just like, even when you're getting ready to leave this place, you were at a constant danger, because wherever that camera was, someone could be standing there just like, hey, I found someone's trying to extract, let's go jack their stuff. So it was like, while they're like, you know, attacking their collaborating squad, someone else could be easily on their way, and you've already like damaged yourself. And it's just like, I was like, that creating that kind of atmosphere was like, they hit the nail on the head. Like, that was execution at its finest. I was like, awesome. I was just like, I can't wait for that game. And I was like, that's awesome. It looks great. And the gunplay, it looks like it takes a while to kill enemies, but I mean, I can get over that a little bit. But like I said, that's my number 2. That's why, like, they created it, they hit their goal, and I'm like, bam, number 2.
They definitely had me. I mean, when he betrayed his team, I was like, you fucking douchebag. And I was just like, I was just picturing what I would like. I would be playing them and be betrayed, and I would just be so livid.
I mean, could you imagine? I mean, like, and it goes to say, as the guy who betrays his team, because he obviously knew them, it's just like, you can't be trusted, and now you're not only rogue, but you're without a squad. So like, you literally risk everything when going into the Dark Zone, and it's like that right there was just like, for me, it's just like my jaw dropped, and I was just like, wow.
And if you guys know each other in real life, like, that'll be that's an awkward Sunday brunch, right? You guys like
Seriously.
Call each other like, hey, we're gonna have brunch on Sunday, and then they play on Saturday night, and that shit happens. And then the guy shows up to like the cafe, and they're like, so what the fuck happened, man?
It's like, yeah, it's like, geez, talk about elephant in the room. Like, you just don't address it, you know, you just pretend like it doesn't happen. And you obviously can't play with them anymore because they're not going to trust you. So what the hell do you do?
You defriend him.
Man. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, shoot, so that's why it's number 2 for me. I was like, yes, just plain and simple, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Moving to number 1, this is obvious if you've heard me since we started this podcast. Fallout 4. I'm not gonna even build it up. Fallout 4. Okay, and here's why. Okay, obviously, I'm a fanboy. Call it like I said, whatever. Call it what you want to. Fanboyism for Bethesda, Todd Howard, whatever. Call it. But when playing Fallout games or Elder Scrolls games, I don't normally do crafting. I don't really, I don't do the crafting system. Not that it's bad. I don't get into a lot of that. Like in Elder Scrolls, I don't do a lot of alchemy. I don't do a lot of those things. Bethesda came out there and they got me excited for a feature part of their game or mechanic that's a part of the game that I don't normally use.
Oh, is that?
And I thought,
like,
to me,
the weapon or the weapon customizations?
Like the weapon crafting. Yeah, exactly. And you know, we always see clutter in games, especially open world games, but to make use of all your clutter in your game, definitely. I thought that was a really great, first of all, just really great design choice. You know, it's like, don't spare anything, don't waste anything in your game. And they really use that. And, you know, and then, you know, player homes are always a mod when those games come out. Like, those are always mods, building homes. And I think it was really awesome that they were like, hey, they want to build homes so much, let's make that a mechanic. You know, it's like even better. It's like, that was just really cool to see. Well, I'm going to do it, I don't know, but definitely gun crafting's a thing. And I mean, first of all, side note for everybody, if you've seen the Fallout 4 trailer, jetpacks. That's it. Jetpacks. Jetpacks.
Yeah, I mean, well, we saw that in Battlefront, but yeah, jetpacks.
Yeah, exactly. You see it in Battlefront. In Doom, he has a jetpack. Yeah, cool. But power armor, jetpacks.
Yeah.
Fallout. I don't know.
You really don't need to explain it.
Yeah,
when
you know
what I
mean?
It's Fallout 4 in your top list, you're just like, okay, Fallout 4.
And it's like everyone just gets it, you know.
Yeah.
I think, but you know, just to give it its due diligence, like the rest of them, and why it's really there. For me, it's like I said, they immersed you even more into an already super immersive world. Mm-hmm. You know, from the character creation being very diegetic, you know, the menus being very diegetic. I was like, okay, the game already does that with Fallout more so, but to take that a step further was really, really awesome in my opinion. That was really cool. And then, you know, Todd mentioned very briefly that what's the robot? The robot in the beginning has that they voiced him to be able to say over, I think it was 1,000 of the most popular names or something like that. Yeah. So I was like, wow, you know, I was like, that's really neat, you know, because you really only get that in sports games.
I will give them props if on launch day I create my character and they say Pepito. Obviously, that's probably not going to be one of the top 1,000 most popular names, but you know, a guy can hope.
You never know, though. Like you never know. Like I gonna try all my names and see if it works. You know, even my last name.
Paint Champ.
But yeah, I'm trying to Paint Champ. Shut up. But yeah, that for me it was more along the lines of already Fallout was going to be top game, but to come out there and then completely surpass my expectations just solidified its role as number 1. And not to mention the first person death animation, like the death claw, you know, just pulling a Wolverine and sticking his claws out and getting ready to just like impale you with his hand. I was like, okay, first of all, gross, because I'd never want to feel that in my life. But it was like, well, don't get too close to Deathclaw. Like it, you know, it's one of those. It was really cool in general. Like everything I saw, I was just like, humana, you know.
It had me thinking like, how attached am I going to become to Dogmeat? And
oh my god,
I think they did take the time to like confirm that he doesn't die or something, but that
he said it in a very heinous way. I think referring back to I don't actually use dog meat in Fallout 3, so I don't know if he dies scriptedly or something like that. But I'm assuming that's what they're referring to. That or the John Wick movie where the dog gets brutally beaten, and so it can be any reference really that a dog dies. Like, I mean, the dog dies in Fable 3 as well, so dogs tend to die in these games. So I guess he's saying don't expect a story ending for dog meat as far as death goes. But who knows?
That's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of.
I mean, if you get attached to a dog that easily, though, I'm imagining that getting attached to the other companions in the game is going to be just as tempting, because they write pretty good characters. Like, I loved Veronica in New Vegas. Cass was interesting. She was a well thought out character. Boone was depressive, but I enjoyed his company because he was a great sniper. And if you didn't patch the game, he could one-hand a sniper rifle like nobody else I've ever seen. So, it's not gonna be a disappointment. That's all you can say is like 2 words: Fallout 4. There you go. Plain and simple.
But from the footage, it looks like the dog starts with you, so it's kind of like this. You've been with me since the beginning, man.
Yeah, what I'm hoping it's the dog plus one. Like, you could, like in New Vegas, you could have EDE plus a companion with you.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
And they would all interact with each other.
But yeah, exactly. So I would really like that. And I think, side note, it's not really why it's number one, but it was really cool when Todd Howard was explaining how the conversations you have now aren't on that restricted system like in Skyrim was, but they loosened it even more to where you could, in a sense, have a conversation with 2 people at the same time. I thought that was like that's fantastic. First of all, like, really awesome.
Yeah, I wonder how difficult that was to program.
Oh gosh, I don't even want to think about it.
It's sending logic loops into my head that I'm not going to be able to break out of. Just to be like, walk up to like 2 people and be like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And then turn to the other guy and say, "Oh, it's you," and then go back to the other guy and go, "Yeah." So as I was saying.
Yeah, it's like, how do you? I don't know. So it's something I'm going to play with. Probably end up breaking the game first time I try it out, but just something to see how well it works. Just to take it to its limit and see what it does. But again, like I said, you really, when you explain Fallout 4, all I do is just say the title and people get it. So that's why it's number one. So there you go. That's my top 5 and my reasons. And honorable mention though. I mentioned earlier with EA showing the trailer for Mass Effect 4. I think that's really cool. The fact that it's taking so long to come out, I'm hoping means they're going to be very diligent with not only its gameplay but its ending. So, not that I was a hater of the number 3's ending, because I wasn't. After they released the DLC and there was some explanation, I was like, I can dig it. And I know a lot of people were like, well, you only have 3 choices, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, you really only have 1 choice. From number 1, you set out to kill the Reapers. Anything else, you're doing it wrong. Plain and simple. So with that, I was satisfied. I love the series, and I'm ecstatic for number 4. Like I said, the only reason why it's not on the top 5 list because there was no trailer or there was no gameplay. It was just, a trailer, which, trailers tend to be very informational. So, I'd wait till all the analysts come out and do their 3-hour work on the trailer and see what happens. But I'm excited. It gets an honorable mention.
Do we know if it's 4 or is it just because I know that subtext was Andromeda?
It's Mass Effect Andromeda, but I just say 4 for now. But I should probably correct that. So it is Mass Effect Andromeda.
You're saying it for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. For me, for my ultimate purposes, it's number 4 because it's just 4th in the series. But it's not technically a sequel to those games. It's I think it's like it's years after too, so it doesn't even, and you're in a different galaxy if I remember correctly too. So it's like you don't really. Now, from what I'm thinking is they're trying to avoid addressing the fact that Shepard made decisions that is different for everyone, which I think is a cool way to go about it. I'm just hoping I still can meet a Krogan, Asari, and down the road. I'd hate to miss out on those races, but I'm sure. Anything but a Batarian and Vorcha, because Vorchas are just ugly. I don't really care for Vorcha. They piss me off. They're annoying.
Cool. My top 5 is probably gonna go a little bit quicker because we did share a lot.
Right.
Right. But for my fifth announcement / game has to go to two of them. They're tied for fifth because I couldn't exclude one or the other. Because they're new IPs and they look amazing. It goes to For Honor and Horizon.
Okay.
Because first of all, when you think of Guerrilla Games, you think of Killzone, but you see this kind of caveman-ish, Stone Age type, like third-person action game, like led by a woman. It's completely like out of left field for Guerrilla Games, and not to mention it looked really good. The gameplay looked fun as hell.
It looked phenomenal. Yeah, I will give it that. It looked amazing.
I was just balling when she like took out that like grappling bow and started to tether him to like the creature to the floor. I was like, yo, this is like Shadow of the Colossus, except, you know, better graphics and more realistic
gameplay and next gen and
yeah. And For Honor,
totally understand that.
Not For Honored, but For Honor, that game.
Yeah.
It like I played Chivalry, and it was such a fun game to play with, like that real time kind of combat and trying to be meticulous with your moves and stuff. And as I was watching it, first of all, you get to be a Viking, a knight, or a samurai, which is like, for anybody who plays the game, they have their shit. Like, if you buy this game, you can be a samurai. And if you hate samurais, you could be a Viking. And if you hate Vikings,
go kill some samurai.
You could be knights, and you can kill the other two and just be what you want to be. I don't know if they're excluding any other warriors classes. But those are the first three that come to my mind when it comes to like choosing a faction for this type of game. And I was watching the gameplay, and just the combat looked so fluid, and
it really did.
Like you could see, like with the right stick, you could do a right, left, up, or down, and just it came down to what like almost like a one-on-one chess between a pawn and a pawn, and you know. It came down to that to a split-second decision, and the fights really played out like normal fights would play out, as if I've seen them in real life, but like referencing movies with knights, it usually comes down to that one stroke or that one like move where, oh shit, I guessed wrong. So I mean, that was awesome. Like I saw decapitations, and it was crazy. Just it just looked so good.
It really did. That one, again, like I said, Ubisoft comes out there and you get caught off guard, and you're like, okay, what's this? And I think when they had the four guys come up in the middle of that room while the whole war is going. I think that's what caught me too, is that you've got this macrocosm of a war, but you see the microcosm between the four people going at it. And it's like, each one kind of they veer off, and they're fighting one-on-one, and, one side gets the upper hand because the guy, gets killed, but he doesn't immediately jump into the fight. He's like, okay, because, you get in there and you cause a mistake for your partner, he can die, and he kind of hesitates a little bit, and he kind of, comes in a little bit, but, his partners are dying anyway because they end up scoring off one-on-one. But I think it was really cool because, like I said, we talked about the thing in the previous one about how it's preferring to, like, you master a play style as opposed to just mashing buttons. And I think this game kind of veers towards that, as like, you can mash buttons if you want to, but when you make that mistake, a veteran player is gonna end you, and that's it, plain and simple. Like, you're done. So I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get it right off the bat, but it's something I'm definitely not gonna go my life without playing.
Yeah, I was just like super excited to see something with samurais, knights, and Vikings. It's just like cool a flavor for everybody.
Knights, like, there you go. I just want to be a knight. Awesome. I
just imagine running into Johnny as a Viking and as a samurai, and decapitating him as a samurai. Because if he plays that game, he's going to be a Viking.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know. And I'm going to stick with my knights, knighthood and chivalry, all that good stuff. I mean, it has a lot for just from just what we saw. You know, even if that's the only three classes, it looks like it's like I said. They're like, I think that game is one of them for all those warheads out there. It's definitely one of them.
So for number 4, obviously, I have The Division, and I don't need to spend any more time than we already have to like kind of explain that. It was really good. Just the betrayal and the non-trust is just awesome, and the way that you could play with your tablet as like a drone and just kind of create this co-op experience. It was just amazing, and it looked great, and I just can't wait to play it. And number 3, which is a departure from our lists, Uncharted 4. That looked amazing. Now I'm talking like super beautiful, because as I was watching the gameplay demo, which is basically a car chase, I'm noticing the little nuances that Naughty Dog does to their games that make things special, and it's the props that fly, the physics that cause the environment to react in the way it does. Like when he's behind those the burlap sacks in the beginning in that firefight, those the sacks are like morphing and kind of like flapping in a way that I imagine they would when they're under fire, and it looked super beautiful. And then when he would jump over a table, all of the things on top would just go flying. And during the car chase, I noticed that the tire on the rear of the car, it wasn't like modeled in. Like it was shaking around and it was moving. So it was an actual separate asset. And then the gas can in the back too, it was kind of shifting and moving to the left and right as he was turning and stuff. And I saw Nathan shifting. I thought that was just one of those small things that kind of just make it for me. Totally. So just stuff like that made it on the list. I know Uncharted 4 is going to be amazing. I don't need to go into detail about its story and its gameplay. Number 2 would be The Last Guardian, because I'm a big fan. Big fan of Eco, big fan of Shadow of the Colossus, and I've been waiting for this since 2010, I think, or 2012. I forget when it was announced, but it disappeared into oblivion, no pun intended, and I thought it was going to be canceled. I thought it was no more. But when they brought it out, I was super excited to see it. Like the implications of a co-op experience with this big creature. I was trying to see what else they could bring out of the gameplay, because the demo looked amazing. Just the things that you could do. So far, I have only seen that like you will need the big creature to kind of leap over some big obstacles, but I'm imagining that further into the game it gets a lot more complex and less simple. But I'm super excited because I'm a big fan of Fumito Ueda's games. And for my number 1, say it for me.
Fallout 4.
There's no explanation needed. The game looked great, and I have to address everybody that's like saying the character models look bad. Okay, these announcement trailers are primarily put together for our sake, but they're also put together with alpha assets, probably pre-alpha assets. So I'm not worried in the slightest as to how it's going to look in the future. But other than that, like I just can't wait to play it. The weapon customization, just everything about Fallout is what explains why it's number 1.
Yeah, it really hits the point where it's like you say the name of the game and you get it. I mean, you could complain, sure, like the character models, but then you look at any Bethesda game. Have their models been like the best on the market? No, but we don't expect them to be.
That's why you have mods. Because I swear to God,
if you care that much, you get mods.
Yeah, Skyrim had the ugliest freaking women, And when I saw Lydia for the first time, I'm like, "You're my house, Carl? No, I'm not having you follow me, right?" And the first thing I did was go to the Nexus and get a freaking remodel package, and everybody was looking good. And so the first thing I'll do with Fallout 4, if they turn out to look bad, I'm not hating on you, Bethesda, but if they do look bad,
because the wife looked all right, like for a character model, I was like, all right, okay, well, she looks like that was definitely an improvement.
I think it's because like you can start out as her, right? Like she's like a main character,
right? Yeah.
So as for the other females, if they end up looking bad, you know, the first thing we're gonna do is gonna go on Nexus, and straighten that out.
So it's like, oh, speaking of mods though, okay, modding for the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Okay, that just blew my mind. I was like, I know they tried to do it for Skyrim. That was a big push. Didn't work out. But now that it's allowed to happen, and I know they're hoping to do it for the PS4, you know, that's great that they get theirs too. But that in itself is quite a milestone.
Yeah. I mean, and add that to my list of why I give them Best in Show, because they had a lot of exclusives, and their exclusive deals seemed a little bit better than Sony's. But again, Sony won for hype because, you know,
yeah,
because of that shit. So, like I said, my honorable mention is Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's been a long time coming, and it's finally announced. I don't care how long it takes, as long as it was announced and confirmed. Because I'm telling you, these last 5 years of them hinting at it or just showing us tech demos and saying, no, this is not a remake. You know, it's just, you know, like when it drives it home when they say it's confirmed, it's being remade. Don't worry, we'll have more info. And like, that's good enough for me, dude.
Yeah.
And, so that's our top 5. And
top 5.
Excuse the sounds as I get hangout messages from people. We will have a full E3 roundtable with Darkovika coming next week, and if you guys want to, you can list your top 5 in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us. I am at Element7X on Twitter. Twitch TV/ElementXStyle, and since he just changed his name, I don't know where to follow him, but he's Fabled Mercenary, now Catch22. Where can people follow you?
Right now, you know, still get me on the at Twitter. It's like at FM Mercenary, I believe, or that KF Mercenary. You can still find me there on Twitter. That's fine. You know, like I say, I still got Raw Champion on the Nexus. I'm moving everything to the rebranded name of Catch22, and I'll be using it for productions and everything else. This, you know, moving forward, especially as I reach my senior year at school. So it's going to be a new thing that I'm doing, just trying to get everything under one umbrella so that you can find it all in one place. Yeah, oh gosh, tell me about it. You know, working on the Skyrim guild, you know, right now with a couple of fetch quests, but more written towards dialoguing with characters and where they come from, and just really exploring dialogue options for Skyrim. Something I'm working on, but you guys will get that. You know, I'm not gonna give a timetable. Just gonna be that's just expect that at some point in your lifetime if you're still playing Skyrim, and if you're not, you should be.
Just know it's confirmed. It's being made.
It's being made.
You'll have more
works.
information this winter.
Brace yourselves, winter is coming.
Yeah,
but there you go. So, yeah, you can catch me there for now.
So, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.